Hi, Dr. Wright. I'm gonna run through my Tannenbaum analysis. Please ignore the dog. He won't leave me alone. Um, so Tannenbaum opens with many questions regarding political scenarios and asking what I personally would do, what the audience would do, what the reader would do. Um, and they were all centered around political philosophy. Duh. It says how people can be faced with these today, and I wanted to note that specifically because I feel like I've seen several instances in political media today where we're having a battle of morals against our own government, which is insane, but especially with the administration that we have right now, I feel like a lot of people spend their time, maybe not the majority because he was voted in, but a lot of people spend their time really questioning how this applies to them, what they would do in these situations, that kind of thing. Yes, I see you. Um, I have asked myself many times over the past year what my real obligation to the law is, because I do feel so shockingly different from what was the majority in November last year. So, and with all of the political harm that's being done, I think I have to really ask myself where I lie in that and where I'm willing to bend and not. Again, when it mentions the responsibility of a legitimate sovereign authority, I think I've been reflecting a lot specifically on that because I've seen how Congress responded or didn't at all, to what I believe to be incredibly immoral actions by our administration, our executive branch specifically, um, and they're being committed against their own people, which is, I think, the most shocking part, especially for me, is that I feel like it's being targeted at the citizens of the US when that's never been the case. Um, Tannenbaum really highlights the importance of ideas and their influence on a society. It argues that ideas deeply influence real political structures and relationships between powers, so relationships between branches, what's supposed to be a check system, what's not, that kind of thing. How important it is to question everything, especially authority. I think most of that comes from that philosophy standpoint of question everything, question your authority figures, question the choices that you would make. And this continuous questioning is how we end up with new discoveries and even more questions about life. The way that Tannenbaum is written allows for me as a reader to see how the writers argue that political philosophy is so important, but that it also extends past just an academic standing. Political philosophy shapes law, institutions, revolutions, and we see almost chronologically in Tannenbaum. Please stop doing that. Um, and we see almost chronologically how history keeps circling back to these same questions. We see the ideas about challenging authority, rights, and how human nature impacts this implementation into the political space. The way Tannenbaum presents this argument makes it feel more real, like these ideas are much more plausible. You don't feel detached from the argument at all. It also mentions the polarization in politics and how we as humans almost encourage the division of people because we already disagree about everything. This example of political conflict is not only logical, but we are seeing more of it now than we have for a while. With the current administration in the United States, polarization is more than encouraged, it's profitable. Citizens are sitting on such extreme ends of the political spectrum that there's no longer that mutual respect for one another. Tannenbaum essentially explains why disagreements in politics really are that deep It goes beyond a simple policy opinion, it's a moral standing, as Dr. Neighbor would say, and therefore it doesn't really change. I thought that it was interesting how Tannenbaum included the historical context. It shows how each philosopher was responding to the same crisis, a different strategy and resolution each time, and several years apart. This further encourages the ideas of political engagement rather than just blind acceptance. I feel like this is such a powerful lesson for people in society today because many people believe that their vote doesn't matter or that they just aren't into politics. And that silence has such a powerful impact on everyone in the country. People are underrepresented because of it. It's the silence is what's, I feel, really killing the community. Um, or being in a political party and having that blind loyalty no matter what comes out of a politician's mouth. Some people will listen to it and follow their word like gospel. The truth is, no matter who we're talking about, politicians lie. We should be questioning their authority. We should question the government. It's what we're seeing. Is what we're seeing actually reflective of the people in our nation? I also appreciated how this was written from a bias standpoint. It was presenting the argument by establishing the facts and letting the reader come to their own conclusion. And of course, we know that this means that people will walk away with totally different understandings of the text because of things like confirmation bias. But personally, this is what I've taken away from it. And I really appreciated how it focused on the conflict between the individual and the collective instead of just country against country. But yeah, sorry about the dog.